Welcome to this edition of Collier Focus. On today's show, we'll take a look at the Board of County Commissioners meeting. Paramedic testing questions will be addressed by the state, and Commissioner Frank Hallis bids farewell during his final meeting. I'm Troy Miller. We'll cover these stories and more next on Collier Focus. Stay tuned.
Whether reporting on the latest news stories or hot issues, taking a look at county government services, or announcing what's happening around the county, this is Collier Focus, bringing government home.
At the recent Board of County Commissioners meeting, the board heard a complaint about paramedic exams taken by firefighters that were administered by a private firm in Bonita Springs. The controversy began when the testing company allegedly provided students with answers to an exam before they took the test. The commissioners had to recommend whether or not they thought enough evidence existed to refer this matter to the state.
If there is a clear violation, it doesn't make much difference what we do. Chief Page still has the obligation to report it to the state, okay, as does Dr. Tober. I think we do need to take a position as to whether or not we think this should be investigated by the state and whether or not we should refer the information we have to them for consideration without making a judgment.
The board voted 4-1 to send this matter to the state. We will keep you posted on the outcome of this complaint. An arbitrator will decide just how many votes to make a zoning change in a rural land stewardship area. County ordinance and state law dictates that all zoning changes must have a supermajority or 4-1 votes in order to pass. A rural land stewardship area, or RLSA, has a zoning overlay. The overlay allows landowners to receive credits for giving up development rights on environmentally sensitive lands. They can then sell these credits to landowners who want to build on land where there would be no environmental impact. Some property owners in the RLSA contend that when the Commission created the RLSA in 2002, it eliminated the need for a zoning change.
Obviously, we're not going to be making a decision, nor do we have a right to make a decision today. I heard somebody say it probably isn't a good idea to hire attorneys because they're not going to be able to make that decision. There's still going to be problems with that. Why don't we just get a legal determination from a judge? Why don't we have you mentioned judge. We've heard judges mentioned a few times. Why don't we hire a legal judge, a judge maybe who has been retired, but we've used judges in the past. Judge mediator, we've used a judge arbitrator. We can hire them to come in and make this determination, and we have nothing to do. You hire the judge, and our people can work with you to hire a judge so that the judge works with the landowners as well as with the county so that they have both coming in, but you guys can pay for it. And then it'll take it out of the political realm and put it in a judge's realm, because especially if we've got somebody that's retired, he doesn't even work in the system, he's going to just come in from a completely unbiased point of view and let him make the determination.
We will report back on the outcome of the arbitration when that decision is made. On the consent agenda, the board approved an agreement for expansion at the Max Hass Community Park Community Center. The Golden Gate Estates Land Trust Advisory Committee has agreed to fund 60% of the $300,000 price tag. Public Services Administrator Marla Ramsey tells us about the details.
When we built the Max Hass Community Center, we actually built it with 2 opportunities to do expansions to that building. So it's already been pre-designed and space has been allocated for these 2 expansions. The expansions are being brought up now because the Department of Children and Family have just recently made changes to the amount of square footage that each child must have in a building as part of our licensing. And when we did that, applied that square footage against the space we had, we found that we were losing about 25 kids from our program. And so moving forward, we thought this is the time that we should actually add those expansions.
There is some additional prep work needed as the site development plan must be reopened and amended, so construction will not begin until late in the middle of next year. Also on the consent agenda, the board waived all code violation liens associated with the Bayshore Club apartments. As you might recall from previous reports, the multiple building complex had fallen into disrepair after financial issues saw the property end up being foreclosed on. The bank that now owns the property worked with Code Enforcement Department to abate the violations, which required that all of the buildings be demolished. That work has now been completed, so according to standard procedure, all fines and liens have been waived. Now, if you have any questions about code enforcement or want to report a potential violation, call them at 252-2440. The board took a few moments to honor retiring District 2 Commissioner Frank Hallis for his 8 years of service during his final board meeting.
Frank, we appreciate your service. We'll miss you.
I want to thank you.
The board presented him with a plaque and commended him for his dedication to the job. Commissioner Hallis served as the Commission's liaison to the Economic Development Council of Collier County. He was the Collier-Lee County representative on the Board of Directors of the Florida Association of Counties and was a member of their Impact Fee Task Force. He also sat on the Metropolitan Planning Organization, previously served as chair of the Commission, chair of the Tourist Development Council, and liaison to the Productivity Committee, as well as the Canvassing Board. Newly elected Georgia Hiller succeeds Hallis as the District 2 Commissioner. After the meeting, we asked Commissioner Hallis to reflect on his time as a county commissioner.
Well, I tell you, the 8 years that I've been on this board, first of all, I want to say that the people that work here in Collier County, the staff, are number one. They work very hard. They're very dedicated, and it's been a pleasure to work with all the staff people. The other thing is that I really appreciate having the opportunity to serve here the constituency, not only in District 2, but all of Collier County. I learned an awful lot as I got involved in this job. And as Commissioner Coletta said, I also got involved with Florida Association of Counties, which has been beneficial for us in regards to addressing issues not only in this county, but throughout the whole state of Florida with other commissioners. One of the other things that I want to say is that this particular Board of County Commissioners, I said this morning, was that this particular Board of County Commissioners is probably the most aggressive group that we've had in this county since the inception of the Collier County in 1923. When I came on board, we had a huge backlog in regards to infrastructure, and that included roads, water, wastewater, of course our landfill, and we all were focused because Jim Mudd came on board as a county manager in July of 2002, and I came on the board in November of 2002, and he focused us on what needed to be addressed. And we went out there, and with impact fees and some ad valorem monies, we were able to address the issues that really needed to be done. We were to the point where we were almost gridlocked because we didn't have roads that were adequate for the amount of traffic and the growth that was coming into this county. We also had problems with potable water. We were asking residents and guests around Easter time that they had to cut back on the water resource because we were concerned that we may not have enough water pressure to accommodate if there was a fire. We had wastewater coming out of our wastewater plants, and there was a consent order by the state, so we had to address that. The end result is we have accomplished so much. And when I say we, it's not only the Board of County Commissioners, but it's the whole staff that works here in Collier County. And we were able to address all of these issues.
County staff had a chance to say goodbye to Mr. Hallis during a retirement party, and we'll show you some of that video later on in this program. Well, it's time for a break. When we come back, former tax collector Guy Carlton is honored, and the annual Snowfest will soon be blanketing Collier County in a blizzard of fun. All of that and more when Collier Focus continues.